I was sitting in my favorite chair, the one by the window where I've had my morning coffee for 30 years, when the doorbell rang. I opened it to find a young couple with a moving truck behind them. The woman smiled at me and said, "Hi, we're the new owners. We're so excited to move in today." My heart stopped. New owners? I am the owner. My name is Dorothy Miller. I'm 72 years old, and I've lived in this three-bedroom house in Maple Street for over 3 decades. This is where I raised my son, Michael. This is where my husband, God rest his soul, planted rose bushes every spring. This is where I baked cookies for every neighborhood kid and hosted every holiday dinner. But 6 months ago, everything started to change. Michael had been coming over more often than usual. At first, I thought he was just being a good son. He'd bring groceries, help fix things around the house, ask me questions about paperwork and bills. He said he wanted to help mom stay organized. I was grateful. After my husband died 5 years ago, managing everything alone became harder. Michael has always been my only child, and we've always been close, or so I thought. 2 months ago, Michael brought over some papers. He said they were insurance documents that needed my signature. I'm not good with legal papers, and my reading glasses weren't nearby, so I trusted him. He's my son. Why wouldn't I? I signed where he pointed. 3 weeks ago, Michael stopped visiting as much. When I called him, he sounded distant, busy. His wife, Jennifer, stopped answering my calls completely. Even my two grandchildren, Emma and little Tyler, who used to FaceTime me every weekend, went silent. I started feeling forgotten. And now, standing at my front door, looking at these strangers with their moving boxes, I felt something much worse than forgotten. I felt betrayed. "I'm sorry," I said, my voice shaking. "There must be some mistake. This is my house." The young man pulled out a folder. "Ma'am, we closed on this property 3 weeks ago. Here's the deed. We bought it from Michael Miller. He said he had full ownership. My legs nearly gave out. Michael sold my house without telling me?" The woman looked concerned. "He didn't tell you? He said you'd already moved to a nursing home. He said you were happy there." "A nursing home? I'm not in a nursing home. I'm standing right here." I called Michael immediately. My hands were shaking so hard I could barely hold the phone. "Mom, what's wrong?" His voice sounded annoyed, not concerned. "Michael, there are people at my door saying they bought my house, our house. They say you sold it." Silence. "Michael?" "Mom," he sighed like I was bothering him. "We talked about this. You signed the papers. You agreed to move into that nice assisted living place. Remember? I never agreed to that. You told me those were insurance papers." "Mom, you're getting confused again. This is exactly why we needed to make this decision for you. You can't take care of yourself anymore." "I'm not confused. You lied to me." "I have to go, Mom. Jennifer and I will help you pack this weekend. The new owners are being very generous, giving you extra time." He hung up. I stood there, phone in hand, feeling like the ground had disappeared beneath my feet. Michael, my son, my only child, had stolen my home. I couldn't sleep that night. I stayed up in my kitchen, surrounded by 30 years of memories, trying to understand what happened. I pulled out every document I could find: bank statements, property papers, old letters. And then I found the folder Michael had brought 2 months ago. I put on my reading glasses this time and read every single word. My stomach dropped. It wasn't insurance paperwork, it was a property transfer agreement. And at the bottom, in my own handwriting, was my signature. I had signed my house over to Michael, giving him full ownership. The paper said I was voluntarily transferring property to ensure family security and proper estate management. I never read those words. Michael never explained them. He just pointed to the signature line and said, "Sign here, Mom." I felt sick, but I also felt something else rising inside me, something I hadn't felt in years: anger, pure, burning anger. The next morning, I went to the bank. My savings account, the one with $45,000 I'd been saving my whole life, was empty. Transferred out 3 weeks ago, the same day the house sale closed. The bank manager, a kind woman named Patricia who'd known me for years, looked upset. "Mrs. Miller, your son had power of attorney. He showed us the documents. We had no reason to question it." Power of attorney? I never gave him that. Patricia pulled up the records. There it was. Another document I'd signed, hidden in that same stack of insurance papers. Michael had taken everything: my house, my savings, my independence. I walked out of that bank feeling empty, but halfway home, something changed. I remembered something my late husband used to say: "Dorothy, you're tougher than you think. When life knocks you down, you get back up swinging." I wasn't going to cry anymore. I wasn't going to beg Michael to fix this. I was going to fight back. That afternoon, I made a phone call to someone I hadn't spoken to in 15 years: my brother's daughter, Rebecca. She's a lawyer in the city, a very successful one. "Aunt Dorothy, is that really you?" "Rebecca, honey, I need your help, and I need you to keep this completely secret." I told her everything: the stolen house, the empty bank account, the lies. Rebecca was quiet for a long moment. Then she said something that changed everything. "Aunt Dorothy, what Michael did might be legal if you sign those papers, even if he tricked you, but that doesn't mean we can't make him regret it. Tell me, do you have any money left? Anywhere he doesn't know about?" I thought hard. Then I remembered. 20 years ago, my husband bought a small life insurance policy. When he died, I took that money, $50,000, and put it in a separate account at a different bank. I never touched it. I wanted to save it for emergencies or maybe leave it to Emma and Tyler someday. Michael didn't know about it because it was set up before online banking, and I never mentioned it. The statements came to a P.O. box I'd kept from my husband's old business. I have $50,000 Michael doesn't know about. Rebecca laughed, actually laughed. "Aunt Dorothy, I think we can work with that. Do you trust me with my life?" "Good, because I'm going to help you teach your son a lesson he'll never forget. But first, I need you to do exactly what he wants. Move out of the house. Don't fight the new owners. Act weak. Act defeated." "But Rebecca, trust me, Auntie, we're going to play the long game. And when we're done, Michael is going to wish he'd never betrayed you." I did exactly what Rebecca told me. I acted broken, defeated, weak. When Michael and Jennifer came that weekend to help me pack, I didn't yell, I didn't scream. I just quietly put my things in boxes while they watched. Jennifer wouldn't even look me in the eye. Michael kept checking his phone, acting like this was just another chore. "Where am I supposed to go?" I asked softly. Michael barely glanced up. "There's a nice senior living place called Sunset Gardens. We already put your name on the waiting list." "You mean a nursing home?" "It's assisted living, Mom. You'll have your own small apartment. They have activities, bingo, movie nights. It'll be good for you." I looked at my son, this man I raised, this man I sacrificed everything for, and I barely recognized him. "What about my furniture, my photos, my husband's things?" Jennifer finally spoke. "We'll store what we can. But honestly, Dorothy, you don't need all this stuff anymore. We're selling most of it. The new owners might want some pieces. They were selling my memories like I was already dead. Okay, I whispered. Michael looked relieved, like he'd expected me to fight and was happy I didn't. They drove me to Sunset Gardens the next day. It was exactly what I feared, a sad building that smelled like cleaning products and loneliness. My apartment was one room with a tiny bathroom. The window looked out at a parking lot. Michael paid for the first month and left quickly. He didn't hug me goodbye. As soon as he was gone, I called Rebecca. It's done. I'm in the nursing home. Perfect. Now, Aunt Dorothy, tell me about Michael's life. Where does he live? What does he do? He and Jennifer live in a fancy apartment building downtown, the Riverside Towers. They've been there for 4 years. He's always bragging about the view and the gym and the doorman. He works in sales for some tech company, and Jennifer does something with social media marketing. Rebecca was typing. I could hear it through the phone. Riverside Towers. Okay, I found it. High rise building, 40 units. Built 10 years ago. Very trendy, very expensive. Rebecca, what are you planning? Tell me something, Auntie. That 50,000 you have saved, are you willing to invest it? All of it? My heart pounded. Invested in what? In justice, in revenge, in teaching Michael that you don't steal from family. But I won't lie to you, it's risky. You might lose everything, or you might gain something much bigger. I thought about my empty house, my stolen savings, my son's cold eyes. I'm in. Tell me what to do. Rebecca explained her plan, and with every word, I smiled wider. 3 days later, I walked out of Sunset Gardens. I told the front desk I was visiting family for a few weeks. They barely noticed. I took a bus to the city and met Rebecca at her office. She'd already done so much work. Aunt Dorothy, I did some research. The Riverside Towers is owned by a small investment group, 3 partners who bought it as a rental investment. They're not managing it well. Maintenance issues, unhappy tenants, money problems. And here's the best part, they've been quietly looking for a buyer for the last 6 months. How much do they want? $250,000. My heart sank. Rebecca, I only have 50,000. She grinned. I know. That's where I come in. I've been saving money for years, and I've always wanted to get into property investment. I have 200,000 I can invest. We'll be partners. 60-40 split since you're putting in less money. But here's the deal. You get full decision-making power over your son's apartment. I stared at her. You mean, yes, Auntie, we're going to buy the entire building Michael lives in, and then we're going to become his landlord. The next 2 weeks moved fast, so fast I could barely keep up. Rebecca handled all the legal work. She met with the investment group, negotiated the price down to $230,000. She's incredible at her job, and set up an LLC called Riverside Property Management. My name wasn't on anything public. As far as anyone could see, this was just another faceless investment company buying another building. The previous owners were so desperate to sell that they accepted our offer immediately. They'd been losing money for months and were happy to walk away. On a sunny Tuesday morning, Rebecca and I signed the final papers. I owned the building my son lived in, and Michael had absolutely no idea. The first thing we did was hire a proper building manager, a sharp, no nonsense woman named Gloria who'd worked in property management for 20 years. We paid her well and gave her clear instructions. Run this building properly, fix what's broken, and treat tenants fairly. But when it came to apartment 4C, Michael and Jennifer's apartment, we had special rules. Gloria, Rebecca explained, The tenants in 4C have been problematic, according to the previous owners. Late payments, noise complaints. We need you to enforce every single rule in their lease to the letter. Understood? Gloria smiled. She understood perfectly. We started small. We didn't want Michael to suspect anything unusual. Not yet. The first week, Gloria sent a building-wide email introducing herself as the new building manager. She explained that under new ownership, the building would be returning to proper standards and lease enforcement. Michael probably deleted it without reading it. The second week, Gloria did a routine inspection of all apartments. When she knocked on Michael's door, Jennifer answered. Hi, I'm Gloria, the new building manager. I'm doing standard inspections. It'll just take 10 minutes. Jennifer wasn't happy, but let her in. Gloria walked through slowly, taking notes. Then she stopped in the second bedroom. Is this being used as a storage unit? Jennifer crossed her arms. Yes, so? According to your lease, you're renting a residential apartment. Commercial storage isn't permitted. You'll need to clear this within 30 days or pay an additional storage fee of $200 per month. That bedroom was full of my furniture, my chairs, my photo albums, my husband's tools, the things Michael said he'd store safely, but really just shoved in his spare room. Jennifer's face went red. That's ridiculous. The previous management never cared. Gloria smiled politely. Well, under new management, we follow the lease. 30 days, Miss Miller. When Gloria left, I was standing in the hallway around the corner, listening to every word. I smiled. This was just the beginning. Over the next month, Michael and Jennifer's comfortable life started falling apart in small ways. First, Gloria enforced the parking rules. The building had assigned parking spots, and Michael had been using 2 spots, one for his car and one for Jennifer's. But according to the lease, they'd only paid for one. Gloria left a notice on his windshield. Second vehicle must be removed within 48 hours or will be towed at owner's expense. Michael called the management office angry. Gloria was calm and professional. Mr. Miller, you're welcome to rent a second spot for $150 per month. Otherwise, street parking is available 2 blocks away. He cursed and hung up. His second car got towed 3 days later. Cost him $250 to get it back. Then we dealt with the noise complaints. See, Michael and Jennifer love to throw parties, loud parties, with music blasting until 2 a.m. on weeknights. The previous owners had ignored complaints because they didn't want to deal with conflict. We didn't ignore them. After the third noise complaint in 2 weeks, Gloria sent Michael an official warning letter. Further violations of the noise policy will result in a $500 fine per incident as outlined in Section 7.3 of your lease agreement. Jennifer called Gloria, screaming, "You can't fine us for having friends over. You can have friends over, Miss Miller. You just can't disturb your neighbors after 10 p.m. on weeknights. It's in your lease. I'm happy to review it with you if you'd like." The party stopped, but my favorite moment came when Rebecca discovered something interesting in Michael's lease. He was 3 months behind on rent. The previous owners had let it slide because Michael always paid eventually, and they didn't want to go through eviction processes. We weren't so forgiving. Gloria sent an official notice. Outstanding rent balance of $4,500 must be paid within 15 days or legal action will be taken. When Michael got that letter, he finally realized something was wrong. He called Gloria immediately. "What is this?" the old owner said. "I could pay when I had the money." "Mr. Miller, we are not the old owners. We have new policies. You signed a lease agreeing to pay rent by the first of each month. You're currently 90 days late. You have 15 days to pay in full, or we'll begin eviction proceedings." Eviction? You can't evict me. I've lived here for 4 years. Actually, Mr. Miller, we can and we will. 15 days. Certified check or money order only. Michael hung up, furious. That night, I watched from across the street as Michael and Jennifer had a huge fight on their balcony. I couldn't hear the words, but I saw the hand gestures, the angry faces, the frustration. He'd sold my house for $300,000. He'd taken my $45,000 in savings. He had money, but apparently they'd already spent most of it. New cars, designer clothes, expensive vacations. I'd seen the photos Jennifer posted on social media, trips to Hawaii, fancy restaurants, shopping sprees. They'd burned through my life savings in 6 months, living like celebrities, and now they couldn't pay rent. Rebecca called me that night. "Andy, are you sure you want to keep going? We can back off. We've made our point." I thought about it, really thought about it. Then I remembered standing in my kitchen, watching strangers move into my home. I remembered Michael's cold voice on the phone. I remembered him calling me confused and making decisions for my own good. "Keep going," I said. "He hasn't learned his lesson yet." Michael paid the rent, barely. I later found out he'd borrowed money from Jennifer's parents, which caused even more problems in their marriage. But paying us $4,500 meant he was now completely broke. And that's when Rebecca and I made our final move. We scheduled a mandatory building meeting. All tenants were required to attend to discuss important building updates and new policies. Michael and Jennifer came, annoyed but present. They sat in the back of the community room with their arms crossed, clearly not wanting to be there. Gloria stood at the front with a PowerPoint presentation, talking about new recycling programs and building maintenance schedules. Boring stuff. Michael was on his phone the whole time, not paying attention. Then Gloria said something that made him look up. And finally, "I'd like to introduce you all to the new owners of this building." They wanted to meet everyone personally. Rebecca walked in from the side door. Michael barely glanced at her. He didn't recognize his own cousin. They hadn't seen each other since they were kids. But then I walked in behind her. Michael's face went white, actually white, like he'd seen a ghost. "Mom?" Every person in that room turned to look at him. I smiled. "Hello, Michael." Jennifer grabbed his arm. "What is your mother doing here?" Gloria continued, professional as ever. "Everyone, this is Dorothy Miller and Rebecca Chen. They're the new owners of Riverside Towers." The room went completely silent. Michael stood up, his chair scraping loud against the floor. That's not possible. You're in a nursing home. You don't have any money. How could you?" I walked to the front of the room slowly. Every eye was on me. "Funny story, Michael. Remember that life insurance policy your father left me? The one I never mentioned? Turns out I did have money saved. Money you didn't know about. Money you couldn't steal." His face went from white to red. "I didn't steal anything. You gave me." "I signed papers you lied about," I said calmly. "You told me they were insurance documents. You tricked me. You stole my home, my savings, and my dignity. You threw me away like garbage." Jennifer pulled on Michael's arm. "We should go." "Yes," I said, "you probably should. But before you do, there's something else you should know." Rebecca stepped forward with a folder. Mr. Miller, we've reviewed your lease very carefully. You've violated multiple terms: unpaid rent, unauthorized storage, repeated noise complaints, and most importantly, she pulled out a paper. You failed to disclose a home based business. Michael looked confused. What? I don't have a home business. Your wife does, Rebecca said. Jennifer Miller, social media marketing consultant, operating a business from a residential apartment without proper permits or landlord approval. That's a lease violation and a zoning violation. Jennifer's eyes went wide. That's insane. I just post things online. You have 5 business clients. You invoice them. You claim it as income on your taxes. That's a business, Miss Miller. I watched my son's world crumble in real time. Here's what's going to happen, I said quietly. You have 60 days to find a new place to live. We're not renewing your lease. After what you did to me, after how you treated me, I want you out of this building. You can't do this, Michael shouted. I'm your son, and I was your mother. My voice cracked. I raised you alone after your father died. I worked 2 jobs to put you through college. I gave you everything, and you repaid me by stealing my home and throwing me away like I was nothing. Tears ran down my face, but I didn't wipe them away. I loved you, Michael, more than anything in this world, and you broke my heart. The room was so quiet you could hear people breathing. Michael's eyes were wet too, but I couldn't tell if it was guilt or anger. Jennifer pulled him toward the door. Come on, we're leaving. As they walked out, Michael stopped and turned back. For just a second, I thought maybe he'd apologize. Maybe he'd finally understand what he'd done. But he just said, I can't believe you'd do this to your own son. And then he was gone. The next morning, my phone rang. It was Emma, my 12-year-old granddaughter. Grandma, is it true? Did you really buy Dad's building? My heart broke. I'd been so focused on punishing Michael that I hadn't thought about how this would affect my grandchildren. Emma, sweetheart, Dad says you're being mean. He says you're trying to make us homeless. He says you're sick and confused. I closed my eyes. Of course he did. Emma, that's not true. Can I tell you what really happened? I guess. So I told her everything, how her father had lied to me, how he'd stolen my house and my money, how he'd put me in a nursing home and forgotten about me. Emma was quiet for a long time. Then she said, Grandma, I'm so sorry. I didn't know. It's not your fault, baby. But are you really kicking us out? I hadn't thought this through. Punishing Michael meant hurting Emma and Tyler too. They were innocent. Emma, I love you and your brother more than anything. This isn't about you. It's about your father learning a lesson. What lesson? That you don't hurt the people who love you, that actions have consequences. Emma started crying. But Grandma, Mom and Dad fight all the time now about money, about you, about everything. Dad says we might have to move to a cheaper apartment far away and I'd have to change schools. Tyler cries every night. Can't you just fix it? I felt like someone had stabbed me in the chest. Emma, please, Grandma, I know Dad was wrong, but please don't make us suffer too. She hung up. I sat there for an hour, staring at my phone, feeling like the worst person in the world. Rebecca came over that afternoon. She took one look at my face and said, Emma called you. How did you know? Because I got a similar call from Jennifer's mother. She's furious. She says we're destroying a family. She says Michael made a mistake, but we're taking it too far. Maybe we are, I whispered. Andy, Rebecca, Emma, and Tyler don't deserve this. They're children. What am I doing? Am I really going to make them move away from their school and their friends just to punish Michael? Rebecca sat down next to me. So, what do you want to do? I didn't know. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about Emma's voice, Tyler's tears, the family I was tearing apart. At 3 a.m., there was a knock on my hotel room door. I'd been staying in a hotel since leaving Sunset Gardens. I wasn't actually homeless like Michael thought. I opened the door carefully. It was Jennifer. Her eyes were red from crying. Her hair was a mess. She looked broken. Can I come in? I let her in. We sat in silence for a moment. Then Jennifer said, I know you hate me. I don't hate you. Yes, you do. And you should. I went along with everything. When Michael said we should sell your house, I didn't stop him. When he said you wouldn't notice the paperwork, I believed him. When he said you'd be happier in a nursing home, I let myself think that was true. She wiped her eyes. I was greedy, Dorothy. We were drowning in debt, credit cards, student loans, a car payment we couldn't afford. When Michael said selling your house would solve all our problems, I let him do it because I wanted the money. Why are you telling me this? Because Emma made me realize something tonight. She said, Mom, Grandma didn't deserve what we did to her. And now we're getting what we deserve. My 12-year-old daughter understands karma better than I do. Jennifer looked at me with desperate eyes. I'm not asking you to forgive us. I'm not even asking you to not kick us out. I'm just asking you to please, please not let Emma and Tyler suffer for our mistakes. If we have to move, fine. But can we stay in the area? Can we stay in their school district? I'll work 3 jobs if I have to. But please don't let my kids lose everything because their parents are terrible people. I saw it then. Real regret, real remorse. Where's Michael? I asked. Home. Angry. He still thinks he did nothing wrong. He says you're being cruel. He says you had no right to buy the building. He says, she sobbed. He says he wishes he'd never helped you at all, that you're ungrateful. Ungrateful. For him stealing from me. Jennifer stood up. I should go. I'm sorry for bothering you. I had to try. For my kids, as she reached the door, I said, Jennifer? She turned. I'll think about it. She nodded and left. I didn't sleep at all that night. The next morning, I called Rebecca and told her about Jennifer's visit. So what do you want to do, Auntie? It's your call. We can proceed with the eviction or we can offer them a new lease with different terms. I want to talk to Michael, face to face, alone. Rebecca set it up. 3 days later, Michael came to my hotel room. He looked terrible, unshaven, tired, angry. He sat down across from me and crossed his arms. So, what do you want? To gloat? I want to understand why. Why what? Why you did this to me. I raised you. I loved you. I sacrificed everything for you. Why did you throw me away? Michael laughed bitterly. You really want to know? Yes, because you were a burden, Mom. There, I said it. You were getting older, more forgetful, more needy. Jennifer and I have our own lives, our own problems. We couldn't handle taking care of you, too. So you stole everything I had? I didn't steal. That house was just sitting there. You weren't even using all that space. And that money in your savings, what were you saving it for? You were just going to die and leave it to me anyway. I felt like he'd slapped me. So I was supposed to just, what, disappear, go away quietly? You were supposed to go to Sunset Gardens and be comfortable and let us handle things. But no, you had to go behind my back and buy my building. That's crazy, Mom. That's revenge. Yes. I stood up. Yes, it is revenge. Because what you did to me was evil, Michael. You didn't just take my house, you took my independence, my dignity. You made me feel worthless. You're being dramatic. I'm being honest. I was yelling now. Do you have any idea what it felt like to have strangers tell me they own my home? Do you know what it felt like to see my entire life packed into boxes while you checked your phone like you had somewhere better to be? Michael looked away. Do you know what it's like to be thrown away by your own child? Silence. Then quietly, Michael said Dad would be so disappointed in me. It was the first real thing he'd said. I sat back down. Yes, he would be. Michael put his head in his hands. I don't know what happened to me, Mom. I used to be a good person. I used to care about you, but somewhere along the way, I just, I started thinking about money all the time, about keeping up with other people, about looking successful, and I was in the way. Yeah, you were in the way. At least he was being honest now. Jennifer came to see me, I said. Michael looked up, surprised. She told me everything. She apologized. She begged me not to let Emma and Tyler suffer for your mistakes. Jennifer's a better person than I am, Michael said softly. Yes, she is. Michael looked at me with tired eyes. So what happens now? You kick us out, you watch us struggle, you get your revenge? I'd been thinking about this for 3 days straight. I'd barely eaten or slept. I want you to understand something, Michael. What you did to me was unforgivable, legally and morally. You committed fraud. You manipulated me. You stole from me. I could press charges. I could sue you for everything. Michael went pale, but I won't. Do you know why? He shook his head because Emma called me crying, because Tyler asked Jennifer why Grandma hates them now, because despite everything you've done, you're still my son and they're still my grandchildren. Tears rolled down Michael's face. Here's what's going to happen, I said. Rebecca and I own your building now. That's not changing, but I'm going to offer you a new lease with conditions. What conditions? First, you pay back every single penny you stole from me. 300,000 for the house, 45,000 from my savings, 345,000 total. You'll pay me back over time, like a loan. $2,000 a month for the next 15 years. Michael nodded slowly. Second, you get a second job. I don't care if you have to work nights or weekends. You learn what it means to sacrifice. Okay. Third, you and Jennifer see a financial counselor. Every month, you learn how to manage money properly instead of wasting it on cars and vacations. Okay. Fourth, you apologize to Emma and Tyler. You explain to them what you did and why it was wrong. You teach them to be better than you've been. Michael was crying openly now. And fifth, I stood up and walked to the window. You come visit me every Sunday. We have dinner. We talk. You rebuild the relationship you destroyed. Because, Michael, I'm not your burden. I'm your mother, and you're going to learn to treat me like one. Michael stood up and walked over to me. Mom, I'm so sorry. I'm so, so sorry. I turned to face him. Sorry isn't enough, but it's a start. He hugged me, really hugged me. For the first time in years, thank you, he whispered. Thank you for not giving up on me. Over the next 3 months, everything changed. Michael got a second job doing weekend consulting work. It was hard, and he complained, but he did it. The first $2,000 payment showed up in my account exactly on time. Jennifer started working from home less and took on more clients. She also started seeing the financial counselor we'd required. Slowly, they started getting their spending under control. Emma and Tyler started visiting me every other weekend. We'd go to the park, get ice cream, and talk. Really talk. Emma told me about school and her friends. Tyler, who's only 8, told me about his baseball games and his new hamster. They never asked about the building or the money or what their dad had done. They just wanted their grandma back. And Michael. Michael showed up every Sunday. At first, the dinners were awkward. We'd sit at the restaurant. I'd moved into a nice apartment Rebecca helped me find and barely talk. He'd ask how I was. I'd say fine. We'd eat in silence. But slowly, week by week, we started actually communicating. Mom, I want you to know I'm in therapy now, he told me during week 6. I'm trying to understand why I became so cold, so greedy. What has the therapist said? That I was trying to prove something to Jennifer's family, to my coworkers, to myself. I was so obsessed with looking successful that I forgot what actually matters. And what actually matters? He looked at me. Family, real relationships, being a good person instead of looking like one. It wasn't perfect. Some Sundays we still argued. Some nights I still cried thinking about what he'd done. But it was progress. Rebecca and I turned Riverside Towers into a really well run building. We fixed everything the previous owners had neglected: new paint, repaired elevators, a renovated gym. The tenants actually thanked us. And Michael and Jennifer's apartment, we didn't harass them anymore. We treated them like every other tenant fairly. No special treatment, but no extra punishment either. One Sunday, about 4 months after everything happened, Michael brought something to dinner: a thick envelope. What's this? I asked. Open it. Inside were legal documents, property transfer papers for my old house on Maple Street. I looked up, confused. I don't understand. I tracked down the couple who bought the house, the Johnsons. Nice people. I explained everything to them: what I did, how I tricked you, how wrong it was. I offered to buy the house back from them at a higher price than they paid. My heart started racing. They said yes, Mom. I bought your house back. It's yours again, legally, officially. I transferred the deed back to your name. It's done. I couldn't speak, couldn't breathe. The Johnsons hadn't done any major changes yet, so most of your stuff is still there. They were renting it out to a family who's moving out next month. You can move back in if you want. Tears streamed down my face. Michael, how did you afford this? I took out a loan, a big one. Jennifer and I will be paying it off for years. But, Mom, it was the right thing to do. I can't change what I did, but I can fix this part at least. I held those papers like they were made of gold. My house, my home, given back to me. Why? I whispered. Why now? Michael's eyes were wet too, because last week Tyler asked me what kind of man I want him to become. And I realized if he grows up to be like the person I was 6 months ago, I'd be ashamed. I want him to be like Grandpa, like the man I should have been. And that starts with me making things right. I reached across the table and held my son's hand. Thank you. I'm still going to pay you back every penny I owe you, he said. The 2000 a month isn't changing, but at least now you have your home back. I don't need the house back, I said quietly. Michael looked confused. What? I mean, I'm grateful, truly. But Michael, I realized something these past few months. That house was full of memories, but it was also full of loneliness. Your father was gone. You'd moved out years ago. I was rattling around in 3 bedrooms by myself. What are you saying? I'm saying I'm happy in my new apartment. It's smaller, easier to manage, and it's close to Rebecca and close to you. What I want is for you to sell that house again properly this time, honestly, and use that money to pay off your debts. Get yourself stable. Save for Emma and Tyler's college. Build a real future. Michael shook his head. Mom, no, I can't take anything else from you. You're not taking, I'm giving. There's a difference. And this time, I'm giving with full knowledge and choice. That house served its purpose. It raised you, it held our family. Now let it help your family. Michael broke down crying right there in the restaurant. I don't deserve this. I don't deserve you. No, I agreed. You don't, but I love you anyway. That's what mothers do. 6 months later, I sat in my comfortable apartment watching the sunset through my window. Emma and Tyler were in my kitchen making cookies, well, making a mess mostly, but I didn't mind. Their laughter filled the space in a way I'd forgotten I needed. Michael and Jennifer were on their way over for Sunday dinner. It had become our tradition now, every Sunday, no exceptions. My phone rang. It was Rebecca. Hey, Auntie, I have some news about the building. Good news or bad news? Good news, really good news. Remember that developer who's been buying up properties in that neighborhood? He made us an offer on Riverside Towers, a really generous offer. How generous? 400,000. That's almost double what we paid. I sat back, stunned. That would give us each a huge profit. Almost 100,000 for you after expenses. Combined with the payments from Michael and the money from selling your old house, you'd be completely set, comfortable for life. What do you think we should do? Rebecca laughed. Auntie, this was your mission from the start. It's your call. I thought about it. About Riverside Towers. About being Michael's landlord. About the revenge that had felt so sweet at first. Sell it, I said. Really? Really. The point was never to punish Michael forever. The point was to teach him a lesson. I think he's learned it. And honestly, Rebecca, I'm tired of being angry. I want to just be a grandmother, enjoy what time I have left. You're a good person, Dorothy Miller, better than most people would be. We sold the building 2 months later. The developer converted it into condos and actually offered Michael and Jennifer the chance to buy their unit at a fair price. They did, taking out yet another loan, but this time it was an investment in their future. I took my share of the profit, $95,000, and did something I'd always dreamed of. I set up college funds for Emma and Tyler. 50,000 total, 25,000 each. They'd never have to struggle the way I did. They'd have opportunities. The rest I kept for myself, not for emergencies or saving or worrying, just for living. I took Emma to New York to see a Broadway show. I took Tyler to a baseball game in another city. I went on a cruise with some ladies from my new book club. I lived. One Sunday evening, after dinner, Michael helped me wash dishes while Jennifer played a board game with the kids in the living room. Mom, can I ask you something? Of course. Do you forgive me? Really, truly forgive me? I dried a plate slowly, thinking about my answer. I'm working on it, I said honestly. Some days are easier than others. Sometimes I still get angry thinking about what you did. But Michael, I'm choosing to forgive you. Every single day I wake up and choose it because holding on to anger was eating me alive. Michael nodded, his hands in the soapy water. I don't blame you for the days when it's hard. But I want you to know something, I continued. What you did changed me. I'm not the same trusting person I was. I'm more careful now, more protective of myself. And that's not necessarily bad. You taught me that I need to be strong, even with family, especially with family. I taught you to not trust your own son, Michael said bitterly. No, you taught me to trust myself first, to read what I sign, to ask questions, to not let people, even people I love, make me feel weak or confused or like a burden. I put down the dish towel and looked at him. You know what the strangest thing is? In a terrible, painful way, what you did made me stronger. I bought a building, Michael. Me, a 72-year-old woman who thought she was too old and too tired to do anything. I fought back. I won. And now I know I'm not helpless. Michael smiled sadly. So I accidentally empowered you by trying to destroy you? Something like that. We finished the dishes in comfortable silence. Later that night, after everyone had gone home, I sat in my favorite chair, a new one, but positioned by the window, just like in my old house, and thought about everything that had happened. A year ago, I'd been betrayed by the person I loved most in the world. I'd lost everything, but I'd gained something too: self respect, strength, the knowledge that I could survive anything. And I'd learned the most important lesson of all. Family isn't about blood. It's about respect. It's about treating the people you love with kindness and honesty. It's about showing up, even when it's hard. It's about earning trust, not demanding it. Michael had been my son my entire life, but now, finally, he was becoming the man I'd always hoped he'd be. Not because I enabled his bad behavior, not because I quietly accepted mistreatment, but because I stood up for myself, because I showed him that actions have consequences, because I loved him enough to hold him accountable. Some people might say I went too far, that buying his building was cruel, that real family would just forgive and forget. But I learned something important. You can love someone and still demand they treat you right. You can forgive someone and still protect yourself. You can be someone's mother and still be your own person. My name is Dorothy Miller. I'm 73 years old. My son sold my house without telling me, so I bought his whole building. And then I taught him what family really means. Never let anyone, not even family, take advantage of your kindness. Stand up for yourself, even when it's hard. Real love includes accountability. Sometimes the greatest gift you can give someone is letting them face the consequences of their actions. And remember, you're never too old to fight back, to be strong, or to teach the people you love how they should treat you. Family isn't just about blood and loyalty, it's about respect, honesty, and treating each other with dignity. When someone betrays that trust, even someone you love deeply, you have the right to protect yourself and demand better. Forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting. It doesn't mean allowing bad behavior to continue. It means choosing peace while still maintaining boundaries. It means loving someone while also loving yourself enough to say what you did was wrong and things need to change. And sometimes the person who hurts you the most is the one who needs to learn the hardest lesson, not to punish them, but to save them from themselves. Dorothy Miller stood up for herself, and in doing so, she saved her whole family.